In the Bible, there are some verses that go like this. Saul's killed his or slain his thousands, but David has slain his tens of thousands. Morality and morale issues have slain its thousands, but misunderstandings and assuming has slain its tens of thousands. Have you ever assumed something that didn't really come to fruition? Have you ever misunderstood someone only to find out the truth? I believe that we all in here have committed assumicide. You say, well, that's not a word. Well, it is today. Assumicide. In Joshua chapter 22, verses 9, 10, 11, and 12 tells you and I something about assuming. It says, and the children of Reuben, children of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh returned, departed from the children out of Israel, out of Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan, to go into the country of Gilead, to the land of their possessions, whereof they were possessed, according to the word of the Lord by the hand of Moses. And when they came into the borders of Jordan, that are in the land of Canaan, the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh built there an altar by Jordan, a great altar to see to. This thing was huge. And the children of Israel heard say, take the D off, there was hear say, behold, the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar over against the land of Canaan, in the borders of Jordan, at the passage of the children of Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, the whole congregation of the children of Israel gathered themselves together at Shiloh to go up to war against them. So, here it is, Joshua and all the men, mighty men, went and destroyed the enemy. And they were very victorious. So, after taking care of the enemy, Joshua looked at all the men. He said, it's time to go back home now. You've been discharged. You fought valiantly. We've won. We've conquered. We've got some land. It's time to enter into your reward. Now you go home and you rest and enjoy the fruits of your labor. So 2.5 tribes stayed on this side of Jordan. Moses was cool with that. And God was too. And the other 10.5 tribes were on the other side of Jordan. There was an accusation on this side without an explanation. And the Bible says that these 2.5 tribes erected an altar. And the 10.5 tribes heard that there was this big altar being erected, and they looked over there, and sure enough, it was like huge. And they were like, what is going on over there, man? I can't believe that they're starting a new religion. I can't believe they're worshiping a different God. We just come out of this war together, loving together, fighting together, and I can't believe that they're doing all of this. And I tell you what, I'm hearing all this, so why don't we all just get together and go over and destroy them? Wait a minute. You mean to tell me we just fought together, we just cried together, we just won together, and now you want to come over here and destroy me because you're assuming something? And they all got together and said, let's just go kill them, let's take them out. And by the grace of God, someone was smart enough to like cool down all the hotheads. And said, here's an epiphany, here's a novel thought. Why don't we just send somebody over to find out what's going on? And so they went over there and said, well, we can do that, but I know what's going on. I see what I can see. Look at that altar. We're supposed to be over here sacrificing, and they're over there. So I see what's going on, but go ahead. Send them on over there. So they tiptoed through the tulips. They got over there, and they said, hey, man, what's going on? They said, what are you talking about? I said, you got this big altar, and you know there's only one altar that we're to sacrifice at. And they said, oh, chill out. They said, man, this is a replica of the altar. We don't want our kids to grow up. We want this to be a witness. We're not offering any sacrifices here. We're just using this as a witness to make sure our kids grow up and know that God on that side is the God on this side. And when we get ready to sacrifice, we're going to come over there and sacrifice. There's only one altar. We know that. And they went, oh, really? That's what you do? And they said, yeah. They said, well, oh, Lord, give me a hug. They hugged each other and said, everybody over here is acting crazy. I told them we shouldn't have come over here and Assumicide, y'all. And so we talking. It's all good in the hood. And they said, we're going back to tell everybody else. And they said, see, everybody, y'all are freaking out because y'all assumed something. It's not what you thought. And they were like, whew, that's cool, man. That's great. That's wonderful. And yeah, they've been through the Achan deal where Achan took something and hid in his tent and the whole children of Israel paid for it. So they had a little bit of understanding what could happen, but they got it all wrong. And isn't it amazing you can assume something and it can occur even when both are seeking the same goals? Assuming doesn't see intentions, it sees actions. And I want to talk to you a little bit about assuming today. The following series of advertisements was reported and reportedly appeared in a daily paper. You ready? On Monday, the Reverend A.J. Jones has one color TV set for sale. Telephone 626-1313 after 7 p.m. and ask for Miss Dunley, who lives with him, cheap. On Tuesday, the paper come out, we regret any embarrassment caused to Reverend Jones by a typographical error in yesterday's paper. The ad should have read, the Reverend A.J. Jones has one color TV set for sale, cheap. Telephone 626-1313 and ask for Miss Donnelly, who lives with him after 7 p.m. Wednesday paper came out. The Reverend A.J. Jones informs us that he has received several annoying telephone calls because of an incorrect ad in yesterday's paper. It should have read, the Reverend A.J. Jones has one color TV set for sale, cheap. Call 626-1313 after 7 p.m. and ask for Miss Donnelly, who loves with him. On Thursday, we're getting somewhere. It says this in the paper, please take notice that I, the Reverend A.J. Jones, has no TV set for sale. I've smashed it. Don't call 626-1313 anymore. I have not been carrying on with Miss Dunley. She was, until yesterday, my housekeeper. On Friday. Wanted a housekeeper. Usual housekeeping duties, good pay, love in, Reverend A.J. Jones, telephone 626-1313. They couldn't get it right. You know, it's a sad day when we'd rather find new friends than to get right with the friends that we have. And we used to be cool with each other, but, we're not cool with each other anymore. We used to be business partners. We used to be girlfriend, boyfriend. We used to like you, coach, and we used to like you, player, and we used to get along with each other. We kind of really liked each other, but there was something I thought you did or something that you said, and so, now what I do is I'll just go find me some new friends, some new people to hang with. We might not have contemplated suicide. If you've been married over 2 weeks, the thought of homicide probably has crossed your mind. But I can assure you we all are guilty of assumicide. You see, it's not that problems are too big, it's just people are too small to talk about them. I am amazed, I really am, that we can't talk about a problem. It's just easy for me to assume you did wrong than to say, hey, I just want to ask you a question. I thought you might have said something or did something, and I just want to talk. I'm not going to talk to the ball team and go talk to the employees and go talk to the pastor and go talk to everybody. I'm going to talk to you about it. Did you say this? Now, I don't want you to get upset. I just feel like I need. Oh, you didn't say. Oh, you're really not doing the altar deal? Oh, it's really that. Girl, give me a hug. It's cool. We're wonderful. You know what people do? I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm not going to say it. And we assume things that are not correct many times. Now, some of our assumptions are good. And there is that part where you need to assume. I get in a plane, I assume that the pilot's cool. Don't know it, didn't check it out, but I'm like, I hope he's having a good day. But I tell you what, we need to stop allowing Satan to control the environment in our families, our business, and our friendships. When we are so prone to be suspicious in today's time, we need to be careful. When we become offended or hurt, we immediately begin to look for evidence that someone did us wrong. I'm hurt. I'm mad. And here's what people say, don't judge me. Boy, our society's got it all warped. Don't judge. Let me just free everybody up on this judging thing. Everybody ready? Here we go. If God said it, He's already judged it. I'm just telling you what He judged. So when I preach, I'm preaching what He's already judged. I didn't judge you. He judged you. And it would behoove all of us to get right under the judgment of God right now where there's grace and mercy. So nobody's judging anybody. But then there's spiritual discernment. Judgment is God's part. Spiritual discernment's our part. Now, you've heard me preach this. He said, don't give that which is holy to dogs. Don't cast pearls to swine, and get the own log out of your eye. So there's a log dog and a hog. How do you know the difference between a log dog and a hog? Unless you pass discernment. And sometimes people will say things to me. It's not I'm assuming that they're wrong. The spiritual part, the Spirit of God's telling off on them, saying they're wrong. When their lips are moving, don't believe them. Whatever they're saying, it might be truth according to them, but it is not the truth. Don't believe. You have to be spiritually discerning in today's time. Amen. Would you agree with that? But assumptions is not of the Spirit, it's of the flesh. And so He's trying to help us today to understand, to be careful that we don't commit assumicide. Assumicide leads to the death of relationships because we end up believing the worst about others, and we're guilty of drawing the wrong conclusions on the basis of tiny scraps of evidence. I have probably been more guilty of this than anything. I stay in the middle of assuming and discerning. Assuming and discerning. Flesh and spirit. Flesh and spirit. I know what you're saying. Flesh, but God's telling me something different. Spirit. Assuming. It destroys relationships. It just takes things out of context with just a little bit. For instance, he didn't call me back, so he must not want to talk to me. I think she's trying to ignore me. They never hire people like me. That church is so unfriendly. How could he be a Christian and act like that? I saw her in the bar. She must have a drinking problem. I bet they're sleeping together. I mean, he's probably a jerk at home too. You know what I'm saying? I don't like him. I don't know why I don't like him. I just don't like him. She's so full of herself. You see, when she walks in, she thinks she's two kinds of something. You can't trust any preacher who's dressed like that. I mean, that dude's a hypocrite. I tell you what he is. But on the other hand, if you're the victim of assumicide, it's very hard to fight back against those false accusations. Few things hurt more than being misunderstood by our close friends. And the closer they are, the more it hurts and the greater the pain is. When that happens, we discover a lot about ourselves, don't we? How we respond when we have been misunderstood tells us a great deal about the depth of our Christian faith. And so just remember, most of the time, Assumicide starts with little small things. I passed her in the foyer, and she didn't even say anything to me. I know she saw me. She looked right at me. I text. They didn't text me back. I emailed. I didn't get an email back. Oh, they get invited to the parties, but me and you must not be good enough to go to the party. Or we've heard that they said something negative about us. And this guy tells a joke, it ain't even funny, and everybody's flopping on the ground, and I tell something that's funny, and nobody even laughs. Or they suddenly seem cold when they used to be glad to see us. Little things, small stuff, petty complaints, hearsay. You know, when you have somebody come up to you, here's what they'll do. They'll go, well, everybody's telling me. Who is everybody? Can anybody help me? Help this dumb preacher up here. 50 years old, been doing it 30 years. Who is everybody? Do you know who everybody is? And then you say, well, give me some names. It's like, no, I ain't going to tell nobody now. I ain't going to throw nobody under the bus. It's just everybody's told me, and I'm the only one courageous enough to come to you. And so I'm here to tell, don't tell me who everybody is. Really, everybody's not everybody. Everybody's you. That's who everybody is. You are the guts. Just come to me, brother, and say, I believe this. That's all you got to do. I just believe this. I may be wrong, but I believe this. So when you come to me and you start throwing everybody in there, doesn't everybody sound like a lot of people? I mean, everybody. No, really, it's you and your wife. Probably your wife more than anybody. I'm just helping you. Don't be mad. That was free. That didn't cost anybody anything. And so we assume, don't we? Now, you know what happened is these two people got to talk, and this is important. And grammatically speaking, you can talk to somebody or you can talk with somebody. We're supposed to be talking with people. I want to talk with you about something. I talk to this principle, this subject. I'd like to speak to the first motion that was brought up on the floor, but I just want to talk with you. Can I just talk with you now? Here's what I feel. Here's what I see. Here's what I think I know. Would you help me? Would you clear that up? Let's talk. That means you talk and I listen. I listen and you talk. Now don't talk when I'm talking, but you can listen. So you talk and I talk and you listen and I listen, and that's talking with each other. And then we're going to come to a conclusion that really what we was freaking all out about is not even really happening. You thought that, I'm sorry, give me a hug. I didn't know you thought that about me, but now you know I really don't like you. You see what I'm saying? You thought I kind of liked you. I just don't even like you. No, don't do that. But what the deal is now we talked it out. Don't you feel better that I don't like you? And that's how you talk with people. And they went to talking with each other, and they clarified it. And the devil is the author of confusion. Can you believe the boss did this? Can you believe all of the employees? Can you believe I saw her with him. Oh, that's her granddaddy? Okay. But anyway, I saw all that, and everybody got, and when you get it all right and lay it out, it's no truth. And here's what they said. They got, and they went and got confronted, and he said, here's the deal. If you don't believe us, I'm in God's hands anyway. I'm cool with this. I know what y'all think, and I'm cool with this. And let me tell you something I'm learning. I think I've learned it, probably not. You know, you're blind to your own weaknesses. But here's what I learned. When you try to tell somebody something, your friends don't need an explanation. Your enemies won't believe it, and God's your refuge. And so they said, you know what we're going to do? If you think we're really doing all this, you can think what you want, but I want you to know, let God judge us today. And they got it all fixed because of love. There's just some people that you can't help. No matter what you say or do to them, they have all the answers. But you got to say our conscience is clear on this. This might be hard for you to hear, but you can't solve everybody's problems. Some people won't listen. Some people love to argue. don't you just love it? I mean, there's sometimes when I talk to people, I ain't lying to you. I'm like, I don't even want to go talk. If I talk, it's going to be 45 minutes of what it means. Can I just say something without it being drama in a 50-minute talk, please? And no matter what you say to them, nobody's home. You ever been there? Just pastor me a little bit here. All right, I talk to y'all and help y'all with y'all's problems. Help me. Why we want to talk 30 minutes about nothing? You can't help them no matter what you tell them. So the three most dangerous words is this: I just assume. Say that with me. I just assume. One more time. I just assumed. I didn't prepare. I didn't do my homework. I didn't look into it. I just assumed. An assumption is the vulnerability of ignorance masked by the illusion of certainty. Assumption is the vulnerability of ignorance masked by the illusion of certainty. And you're no more under attack and more vulnerable to attack than when you assume. Jesus would just break people's assumptions all up. And there were some wealthy people. There's nothing wrong with wealthy people. Don't take this wrong. They would talk about how much money they would put in a kitty, and everybody was like, we want to know them. We can network with them. I can get my business going. They can get their business going. Look at all that money. My God, look at the bank. And they were throwing all money in there. And they, oh, God's got to be pleased. And here's one little lady walked up with two little mics, and she dropped it in there. And they all took and evaluated and assumed that the person that gave all that money God was pleased with, and that person gave a lot. God said, I'll tell you what, this little lady who gave 2 mics she gave way more than that guy. He gave out of the overflow. She gave everything she had. There was a sinner that was just in church, and there were some religious people, and they said, Lord, we just want you to know we're so thankful that we can fast twice a day. I go to church every time the door's open. Lord, I give and give and give. And this other guy was like, Lord, I'm just a mess. Be merciful to me, a sinner. He said, which one went down? We assume that this guy's doing all this wonderful exterior things that people see. Surely he was more godly. God said, no, that little fellow over there just got things right. That's the one. You see, wide's the gate, and everybody's like, well, everybody's doing it. Wide's the gate that leads to destruction. And many go in there. He said, everybody's going to agree with you. Everybody's on board with. Don't you feel good when you bite an apple and somebody else bites the apple with you? Don't you feel better when you kind of do a little bit and they kind of do a little bit? It just kind of like justifies you. He said, I want you to know that's a bad assumption. He said, straight and narrow's the gate. I love you. But I love you enough to tell you the truth. And so assumption gave them and gives us the illusion that we're in control. See, they kept trying to figure out who Jesus was, and they assumed this and they assumed that. But those people that were assuming nailed Jesus on the cross because he confronted their assumptions. What makes us assume things that are not necessarily accurate? Number one, apprehension. We're scared about the situation that we're not certain about. What if we're going to lose everything? What if we get apprehensive? Then apathy. I don't care enough to find out what it feels like being you. So I'm just going to assume. I'm not going to get in your moccasins. Well, I tell you what, if I was the president, you'd be in a fetal position underneath the desk crying, sucking your thumb, hollering for your mama. You ain't led a 2-car funeral right, and you're going to sit there and tell somebody how they ought to lead the United States, whether it's Barack or whether it's Trump. We don't have a clue, but we assume we do. Can't even lead our own self and talk about leading the country. Then arrogance. You know anybody who knows everything? I mean, I got all these degrees, nothing wrong with education. I got all these degrees, so I'm smart. No, it just means you've taken more tests. You pass more tests. You are smart because you've taken more tests, but you might have good peripheral vision. You might be assuming about somebody's. And then this old boy, he can't spell it. But you know what Walton is? He didn't graduate it. He's just a multi-billionaire. Well, we assume that little old fella's broke, busted, and can't be trusted because he didn't graduate. We have bad assumptions. There's a guy, pastor at my first church, wore Liberty overalls, Levi tobacco, shoes, old. He walked through town. Multi-millionaire. And then you got some that's dressed up and got a good car he can't afford to pay for, driving through town. He must have a lot of money. No, that brother's broke. He can't even afford gas. To be honest with you. Looks good, just can't afford gas. That's the first time he took the car out in 3 months. He got enough money to put a little gas in the... Assuming. Arrogance, apathy, apprehension. Now, there's just some things you can't assume. You might go to the restaurant, spend a little money, and go, we messed up on that. A little money didn't hurt much. But I can't assume as a husband that my wife knows that I love her. I'm going to tell her every day, baby, I love you. Well, I know you do. I know you do know that I do because I'm going to tell you again, I love you. And I'm not going to let my husband assume that I'm proud of him. I'm going to tell him, I love you so much, and I'm so proud. You're a great provider. You're a great man. You're a great daddy. Well, that's what he's supposed to do. Tell him anyway. Proud of you. Kids, boy, where would we be without you? As parents, you can't assume that the kids that you have are hanging around the right kids. I was broke and I hung around doctors and lawyers' kids who got me on dope. They thought I was a thug. I was just broke. But when we got together, they had this stuff. I didn't have it. I couldn't afford. I couldn't even afford to pay attention. But when we all got together, they had it. And everybody looked at me and said, yeah, because you're poor, you're this, that, and the other. I'm like, that brother's got 2 pounds on him and you don't even know. Rolling stuff in the mayor's house. That's a true story. And then when I'd come out, they'd look at me like, oh my God, how disgusting. How disgusting. I'm like, and the other one come out like, wow, man, wow. What is the deal with all these people? What's going on? You just can't assume that your wife knows, and you can't assume that the people that work for you that you're thankful for. Tell them every day. Tell them, say, I appreciate you. I text y'all sometimes and say, I just want to tell you I love you. That's not computer generated. That's Keith generated. I love y'all. Thank you. I appreciate it. Assuming. There's just some things we can't assume. You can't assume that your view of God is accurate. You know how many people who's told me, well, I just believe it's okay, and I'm like, the Bible says it's not okay. But your view of God says it's okay. That's scary. That's scary. Is your life in line with the Bible? Is your life in line? So in Matthew chapter 25, verse 24, we won't go through it all because we don't have time. But the Bible says, no, stay with me. You've heard this before, but we're going to bring some stuff up about assuming. It says that he gave one 5 talents. Okay, so that means this way, this is not yours, it's mine. I'm allowing you to be manager over it. Is that 5? And I'm going to give you 2 talents, okay? And so I want you to understand, don't be jealous that I gave him 5. Just use what I've given you. And you know what I'm going to do if you don't mind? I'm going to give you 1 talent. I'm going to give you 1 talent. Matter of fact, give me the 5 back, Tway. I'm going to give you 5. And I'm going to give you the 1. All right, Tway, now what I'm going to do is I'm going on a journey. I'll get back with y'all. Now, here's what I want y'all to do. Multiply it. Use it. Don't assume on me. Be faithful. Be consistent, okay? Go multiply it. I'm going to take my journey and I'm going to come back. We're going to do an evaluation to see where you are. So when I come back, in verse 24, I say, you know what? You've done so good with your 2 talents. So proud of you. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of the Lord. You've done so good with your 2 talents. I'm so proud of you, girl. That beautiful smile. Thank you so much for being faithful. Now you, Tway. 1 talent. What'd you do with it? You went and hid it and you buried it. Now, in today's church, if you didn't give anything, tithe, if you didn't serve, and I came aware of that, become aware of that, and I looked at you and said, now, Tway, you know that you went through first step, next step, big step, all the steps, right? You knew that we were wanting you to tithe and serve, and you hadn't been doing it. You lazy, wicked thing. What would you think Tway would do? He would get up in front of the church and say, oh, my soul, I'm sorry I hurt God. I need to get right. Yeah, right. He'd post me on Facebook. Tway, I can't believe that preacher called me wicked and lazy. That's what God called the servant that didn't do what he asked him to do. Wicked and lazy. Wow. You would just assume it would be okay if you didn't do anything. I mean, you are trying, right? God knows your heart. That's what people tell me. Well, God knows my heart. Yeah, He knows that sucker's wicked and lazy. I promise you, He knows your heart. We just assume. See, when you plant the seed of assumption in the soil of ignorance, you reap a harvest of confusion. You know what he said, Tway? You know what you told me when I came and gave an account? I knew you was a hard man. Your view about me was wrong. You said that you knew that I was a hard man. But that's not true, because didn't I tell you, well done, thy good and faithful servant, and enter into the joy of the Lord? Didn't I tell you, well done, thy good? See, I blessed them and I wanted to bless you, but I couldn't bless you because of what you thought you knew. And now you got your kids believing that about me. You got your friends believing that I ain't been fair to you and kind to you and compassionate to you. You think I'm a hard man. And your assumption is wrong about me, Tway. I love you. And when you plant the seed of assumption in the soil of ignorance, you reap a harvest of confusion. Now you're unfit, you're unproductive, and you're unfruitful. See, his assumption was wrong. Here's what I want you to see. You got to be careful where you get your views about God from. Who you let represent God to you, because sometimes the root of assumption is secondhand information. Now assumptions turn into accusations, and you blaming me. I give you something that belonged to me, told you what was expected, and now you started assuming, and now you're accusing, and you're blaming me that I'm a hard man and unfair. That hurts me, Tway. See, here's what you don't understand, Tway. If I wanted to make sure this was safe, I'm the king. I'd have just kept it. I didn't have to give that to you. I'd have just kept it. Everything I have belongs to me, and you don't have anything, but I gave you something. And you just wanted to dig a hole with it. You thought that would be okay. Really, what you thought is I would accept your excuse, and now you're mad at me because you offered excuse, and excuse is nothing more than the skin of a reason stuffed with a lie. And because I won't believe your excuse, now you think you live like you won't make me feel bad about it. Man, your friends look at that. So sad. And so what I want you to get out of this is that really there were 2 servants and 1 slave. No, you didn't read the Bible correctly. It said there was 3 servants, there was a king, he went off. No. I used to think that. Now there's 2 servants and 1 slave. There was 2 people that were faithful to the master. Those are the servants, but you're the slave because you've entrapped yourself and enslaved yourself by your view of me and the accusations that have progress from assuming. And now you're all messed up. Why are you messed up, Tway? Why is it like that? We become a slave to our own assumptions, and God can't break in and break through. God will not put up with faithlessness, but failure He will. I stand before God. There's going to be things that I'm going to have to give account of, but I don't want to stand before Him and say, God, I was going to do this, and I was going to try this, and I was going to do it, but I was scared of failing, God. I was scared of failing. I was scared. I was afraid. I really don't think that you were afraid. I think you were jealous that I gave these two more than you. I know what you said, but what you say, I don't have to believe. But my discernment is that you're wicked and lazy. You know what's cool? Is Tway can't get it right in this book, but you can. You can start. Where's that thing at? Where's that gift? Where's that talent? Where's that influence? Where's all that I've been burying and using as an excuse not to work, do, give, and serve? I'm going to unbury it because today is an opportunity. I don't want to get before God and assume. I want to hear, well done, thy good and faithful. Well done, thy good and faithful. Didn't finish first, but I was faithful. Boy, I made some mistakes, sin, but I came back. The time between God, when God tells you to do something, and the time you do it is the devil's time. The Bible says immediately the devil comes and he plucks the conviction. He plucks the want to get saved, the want to serve, the want to surrender. He plucks it off your heart so that you don't have time. Move quickly. It's dangerous to do the immediate and not do what's urgent. The Master's coming back. It's dangerous to think that faithfulness is maintenance. It's not. It's multiplication. Well, I got saved, and I go to church, and I'm faithful to God. No, you're not. Faithfulness is not maintenance. Well, I show up every day, I'm faithful. No. Faithfulness is not maintenance. Faithfulness is multiplication. See, I'm not faithful because I gave my life over to God. I'm faithful because I allow God to use my life. He wants to use my life. I'm saved, I'm just not faithful. He's faithful, I'm not. I haven't done anything with the talents and the abilities. I mean, I can sing, dance, teach, and if I think I can walk around here like I'm somebody because everybody applauds me, and you're an awesome preacher and a singer, and there ain't a teacher I know of like you, and I walk around here going, yeah, I know. I mean, really, I'm not that. God says, I got you. He said, no, everything you got's mine. Are you using what I gave you for my honor and my glory? Or are you doing this so everybody can go, oh? You see, in the beginning, he said, sit down, Adam. Adam, sit down, I got to tell you something. I want you to be faithful and maintain. That ain't what he told me. He said, be fruitful and multiply. If the king wanted to keep the talent safe, he would have taken it with him. But I gave that gift to you. I put you in that community, and I put you into that job for a reason. Jesus challenged, I want you to hear this, this is important. This is going to answer a lot of questions in your life right here. He challenged the entitlement assumption. Now, I told you I'm coming back. Tway, you didn't do it. Where's your gifts? Where are your talents? Did I take them up there? I'm God. I can create stuff. Okay, I'm God. I'm God. Don't fool with me, Tway. Now here's Tway's one talent. Let's all get real in here. I need you to be real. Don't play church on me. Get real. Now here is Tway with one talent. Sweet lady here with 2 talents. Sweet lady here with 5 talents. If you were going to take this away, if God were going to take this away, if you were going to take this one talent, who would you give it to? Be honest. Would you give it to the 2 talent person or the 5 talent person? Which one? Everybody for 2 say amen. Amen. All for 5 say amen. You notice the amens are for the 2. Why? Because you have enough. I mean, why you get all the breaks? Why's things go? Why do you have more money, more clothes, more this, more health, more? Why? You know what? You've got enough. And you know what I'm going to do? Because I'm really jealous. Be honest with you. I want what you want. I want what you have. I just don't want to do what you had to do to get what you got. But we don't talk about that. I'm going to give it to you. God says, no, that's entitlement. See, over here we're adding. Over here I'm multiplying. I know I can trust both of you, but be fruitful and multiply. We ain't talking about just money. The devil wants us to get hung up on just money. You start talking about kids and money, church gets stupid. I'm talking about just being faithful. Because I know what you can do. And I'm God. It's my stuff. It's my stuff. Why am I on trial all the time about my stuff? It's my stuff. Your house is my stuff. Your car is my stuff. It's all mine. But I love y'all. Look, don't have to have you. I'm Lord. I don't have to have you. I just love you and want you. You don't even know how much you do. I did it like this. You know. So I don't have to have you or you. I just love y'all and want y'all. And we're getting somewhere. Don't tell the flesh. Look at somebody next to you and say, flesh, be quiet. One more time, say, flesh, be quiet. We're about to leave. I don't need the praise team up here yet. Hold on. Just a couple more points. What you continually take for granted will eventually be taken away from you. Oh, you don't like your job? You take your wife for granted. You take your husband for granted. You take your kid. You take your health. You take what I blessed you with. I gave you a talent. I gave it and I took it back. I know what you said you were going to do with everything I gave you. You were going to be faithful if I gave you a job. You were going to give a bunch of money. If you just give me out, I'll do everything you want me to do. Thank you. See you later. Thank you. God knows my heart now. Y'all quit. God knows my heart. He knows desperately wicked. Here it comes. Here it comes. The man with one talent assumed possession of that talent, but he didn't assume responsibility. Don't assume possession. Assume responsibility when you give. Now, Keith, I want you to preach. Now, don't party like it's 1999, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and get up here and lift holy hands, and let's talk about, I surrender all. What a great God you are. Oh, you're everything. But come Saturday, I'm going to get my funk on. And nobody's going to know until the master comes back. And he starts taking things. Not because he wants to. It was his anyway. So with responsibility, possessions. You give me possessions, I think I own this stuff. I come naked in the world. He said, naked you're going to live. I don't own any. So now I want to assume possession, but I don't want any responsibility. And God says this in closing as they come. I'm giving you grace because I love you. And when you say, Lord Jesus, come into my life and save me, that's all free. And I come and take possession of your life and your heart, and you take possession of me, and we got this incredible friendship and intimacy. Not a bunch of do's and don'ts. It's just a love affair. But when I give you grace, what are you going to do with it? You going to do what you want with it? You're going to assume the possession of grace, but not the response. I mean, you're going to let your kids die and go to hell. You're going to let your you're not going to say nothing. You're not going to be the employer that I made you to be. You're not going to be the employee. I mean, you're going to take. Hey, Peter, over here's the fish. Drop the net. And Peter's net's become so full. And the Bible says he beckoned. He knew that God blessed him so that he could be a blessing. I got to be a distributor. I've got to make sure now I don't start getting this entitlement. I've been doing it 50 years. I'm going to take a break now. Let the young whippersnappers take over. No, baby. You just now seasoned now where you don't choke a kid if you watch it. I mean, you're in a good position now. Now you finally got patience. And where is retirement at? God, I just want to grow old and do my own thing. Me and Mama going to do some traveling. Really? Wow. I didn't know God did all that in the Bible. I don't see men retiring. I see men expiring. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to just take God's grace and possession of it, which is wonderful, and that's what we need to do, and not be responsible? You know what I love about this church as you stand? I've never seen so many selfless people in all of my life. I mean that. The things you do, how you give, how you love, and how you serve. I'm really preaching to the choir. I just think there's somebody here that's got this influence and this talent, and God's blessed you, and you're sitting confused as to what you need to do, and you don't even realize He's given it to you, and one day you're going to stand before Him. Don't you want to do what He's asked you to do now that He has shown it to you this morning in the service?